We open with our protagonist, Kim Téju, sprinting through the shadows of the forest as ruthless officials hunt him like prey. He's baffled by their pursuit, but the chase hits a literal dead end, a jagged cliff where the path simply vanishes. His lungs burn, and his heart is ready to explode, giving the pursuing squad enough time to finally corner their target. Squad leader Indong sneers mockingly, reminding Téju that overexertion is a one-way ticket to a fatal seizure. Since he's a pathetic mana reject, Indong scoffs that there's no point in running, he's already reached his final destination. Consumed by rage, Téju demands to know why he's being hunted like a common animal. Indong laughs, calling him a defect who should have perished years ago, wondering why he bothered clinging to life until 29. Apparently, his stubborn survival is annoying a very powerful individual. As Indong hints at the identity of his master, Téju realizes the culprit is a woman, his own cold-hearted stepmother, Honda Mitsui. Indong warns him to watch his mouth regarding Lady Honda. Then, with chilling efficiency, he lunges forward, plunging his blade deep into Téju's chest before kicking him off the edge. As Téju plummets into the abyss, Indong bids a cruel farewell, gloating that Honda's 2 biological sons are the only ones destined to rule the Paju territory. 3 centuries ago, in the year 2026, a sudden solar eclipse caused raw mana to flood the Earth, triggering a catastrophic global shift. 90% of humanity was wiped out, as cities crumbled and civilization collapsed into total ruin. Fast forward to the present year of 2326, where survivors have finally adapted to this new mana-filled world. However, the emergence of mutated magical beasts and lethal flora sparked a brutal, never-ending war. This conflict gave birth to a rigid caste system based on mana potential, with the elite awakened at the peak. These warriors are identified by the distinct facial markings of the anti-beast combat force. Below them sit the mana-compatible soldiers gifted with superhuman physical traits, followed by the mana-adaptive, ordinary people who simply survive the change. At the very bottom rot the mana rejects, whose bodies are being eaten alive by mana poisoning. Téju's father, Kim Wong-bang, is a legendary awakened master and a high-ranking brigadier general. His influence is absolute, yet his firstborn son Téju failed to inherit any of that divine talent. Instead, he's a walking corpse, rotting from mana rejection. But as consciousness slips away during his fall, his soul drifts into the presence of a mysterious entity who uses a powerful technique to pull Téju upright. The stranger forces him to meet his gaze, and instantly Téju recognizes the legend, the supreme Poison Demon Tang Gun. This man was the ancient patriarch of the Sichuan Tang clan, the ultimate masters of venom. When the demonic cult threatened to consume the world, Tang annihilated their leader, using nothing but a handful of toxins. He reigned as the undisputed god of the Murim, and now, this titan shares a soul with a dying reject. Tang was on the verge of ascending to immortality, when his essence became tethered to Téju's failing spirit. As recognition dawns, their memories surge and intertwine until the 2 souls fuse into one singular entity. Téju is Tang's reincarnation, meaning the boy mocked as a useless reject now carries the soul of a demon. Tang realizes this mental void is a sanctuary for their unified consciousness, a place where they are truly one. The poison demon promises Téju that absolute dominance over the world is finally within his grasp, provided he can master the ancient lethal knowledge now etched into his very mind. Overwhelming power floods Téju's veins as Tang urges him to unleash his desires. With a final nod, the demon fades, leaving the boy to face the battles ahead. Téju jolts awake, realizing this wasn't some fever dream. Every bit of Tang's forbidden secrets are burned into his brain. Though broken and exhausted, his survival instinct ignites. To stay alive, he must master the legendary technique that crowned Tang as the Murim's king, a forbidden style that converts lethal toxins into pure explosive strength. It's called the Formless Primordial Poison Spirit Art. Seeing toxic flora nearby, he doesn't hesitate to consume the deadly leaves. It's a gamble of evolve or die. If he can successfully refine these toxins into internal energy and manifest a poison essence Dantian, he'll shatter the shackles of being a lowly reject forever. As his body begins to reconstruct, Téju vows to live and to make every single enemy pay in blood, starting with Indong. Meanwhile, under the cover of night, Indong's squad continues their grim search. Searching for Téju's corpse is proving a nightmare. Indong's patience is officially wearing thin. Finding one dead body shouldn't be this hard. Then, out of nowhere, they spot Téju locked in deep meditation. They're shocked he's breathing, but not exactly shaking in their boots yet. One grunt senses a shift in the air and flags Indong down immediately. An eerie green glow pulsates around him. Is it a mana flare? They're totally clueless and on edge. Téju stays motionless, a statue of pure focus. Little do they know he's actually gathering massive internal energy, channeling lethal poison essence, not mana. Indong's blood boils at the sight, so he orders a total execution. To stop any potential trouble, a soldier draws his blade and closes the gap on Téju. Right before the killing blow, Téju's instincts ignite, effortlessly parrying the attacker's strike. The blade slams into a tree. The squad is stunned by his lightning-fast reflexes. Even Téju is reeling. He's finally tapping into the legendary power of internal energy. He tightens his grip. This is it, the ultimate weapon, to crush everyone who ever betrayed him. Recovering his cool, Téju smirks at Indong. Long time no see, buddy. Indong just scoffs. Sure, you've awakened, but you're still nothing special. No rank marking, pathetic. Téju just laughs, pitying the man's sheer ignorance of true power. In this world, ranks go from master down to user, master, expert, and so on, followed by regular, beginner, and user. Once you awaken, your face wears your rank like a brand. Checking Indong's mark, he's just a bottom-tier beginner. In Murim terms, he's a mere third-rate hack. Looking at his potential, Téju realizes this guy is mid at best. Téju asks for his final words, but Indong thinks he's just capping. Big mistake. Téju enters his stance. He slots coins between his knuckles like deadly projectiles. Time for some long-overdue payback. Indong draws his sword, laughing at the pocket change Téju is holding. Talk about delusional. I'll finish you for real this time, Indong snarls, unleashing his squad for the kill. First fight in this new body, yet Téju is chilling. Zero nerves, just focus. Tang's memories are kicking in. Mana might have ghosted him, but the poison demon's path is eternal. Feeling the power surge, he launches the coins like bullets. Pure, lethal accuracy. Combining flying dagger art and phantom steps, the coins rip through his enemies. As they stumble, Téju blitzes forward, winding up a devastating poison palm strike. He blasts Indong before the guy can blink, sending him ragdolling back. The lone survivor. Stunned to see his boss tossed like garbage, he refuses to back down. He draws a pistol, aiming straight for Taiju's dome. He pulls the trigger, but Taiju's already gone. Too slow, he whispers, dropping the gunman effortlessly. Everyone else is already dealt with. Téju looms over a broken Indong. What did you do to me? He wheezes. Being an awakener is useless here. Against my poison, you're just a regular victim. As toxins melt his insides, Indong gasps. How, you don't even have a rank mark? Téju just smirks. Calling Tang's legendary art a mere skill, the disrespect. The old master would be turning in his grave right now. But whatever. Karma's a beast, isn't it? Téju mocks. He knows this pain all too well. Black rot begins oozing from Indong's pores. That's when the realization hits, he's finished. Panic sets in. He begs for mercy, but Téju's iron grip closes around his throat. He's lifted off the ground, facing pure murderous intent. Desperate, Indong tries to name-drop his powerful backers. Téju doesn't give a damn. He squeezes until the life fades. Target neutralized. He drops the corpse and grins. He wasn't going down without a fight. Now, let's talk about the Samhan Empire, a post-apocalyptic powerhouse. Born from the ashes of the Mana apocalypse merging the lands of Korea, China, and Japan. Even Téju's old stomping grounds in Paju are under its rule. Deep in the desolate Paju territory, Kim's father sits in heavy silence. Dark news of the hit on Téju finally reaches him. The official details how Indong's crew ambushed the young master. Miraculously, Téju survived the slaughter. But since his discharge, the boy has vanished into thin air. Even wilder, the assassins were ripped apart by monsters while fleeing. Kim is absolutely stunned. He demands to know the mastermind. The official reveals a trail leading straight to pro-Japanese officers. It clicks instantly, Honda Mitsui. She's the daughter of a legendary Japanese dynasty. Her family is hardwired into the empire. She's also the mother of Téju's ambitious half-brothers. She targeted Téju to ensure Paju falls into the hands of her mana-gifted sons. It's no secret she's been praying for the mana reject to drop dead for years. But since he was taking too long to kick the bucket, she lost her patience completely. She called her father in Kyushu to arrange the execution. Kim wonders why she couldn't just wait. The kid was already a walking corpse. Still, Kim decides he has to bury this scandal deep. Paju needs the Honda family's massive wealth to survive. After the report, the room goes cold. Kim dismisses the official, promising to handle the cleanup. Once alone, he lets out a tired sigh. He figures Téju is as good as dead anyway. It's a miracle the boy even hit 29. Honda's betrayal is savage, but Kim has a territory to protect at any cost. He decides to ignore the murder for the sake of the two sons who actually have a future. Téju was already a ghost. Since he's missing, Kim assumes they'll never see his face again. Live out your last days in freedom, he mutters, vowing never to hunt for his lost son. Meanwhile, at the Empire's border, Téju gazes down at the vibrant city of Guri. He's completely floored by the view. His boss notices and starts dropping some deep lore. 300 years ago, the free city of Guri was just a tiny speck in old South Korea. That changed when the Samhan Empire conquered it. Now look at the peak beneath our feet. This is Mount Jiraiya, a monster-infested hellscape that needed a massive cleanup. The Emperor turned Guri into a free city base. Zero taxes on magical beast loot. They even legalized the shady stuff. With no rules, the city's growth went nuclear. Awakeners flooded the gates for the gold rush. That's how Guri became a high-octane metropolis. It produces over 20% of the Empire's loot. It's the ultimate bag for anyone desperate for cash. Téju is already bored out of his mind. He just wants the old man to get to the point. But the boss keeps yapping, warning him about the lethal criminals lurking in every alley. Keep your head on a swivel, he warns. Téju nods, trying to be a respectful rookie. His boss offers to answer more questions, even if he talks like a broken record. Téju isn't actually annoyed, the guy's a saint, but he has a secret path to follow. After surviving the hit, he cut all ties to find a place to evolve his hidden power. That's how he found Guri. Here the Empire's authority is practically non-existent. It's the perfect spot to hide from his murderous family. Plus, the land is totally toxic. With poisonous beasts and deadly herbs everywhere, it's the ideal gym for his martial arts training. The term martial arts is still new, but he's lucky he bonded with Tang's ancient soul. Ironically, he owes this chance to Honda's betrayal. But for now, he's broke and weak. He's currently grinding as a lowly porter on Mount Jiraiya, leveling up his strength in secret. Suddenly, his boss asks which fighter in their escort party looks the deadliest. Téju stays quiet, so the boss points out the lead swordswoman Lee Hunnell. She's a regular rank young, but her combat stats are supposedly off the charts. She's tiers above a scrub like Indong. But as Téju watches, he senses something glitching. Her mana flow is jagged and unstable. Before he can blink, she collapses in a heap. A hunter's eyes widen as a mutant mosquito crawls off her skin. Watch out, he screams. Don't let those things touch you. Téju is confused. Why the panic over a bug? Suddenly, the party's mage barks a command for everyone to move. While targeting the insect, she conjures a searing fireball and launches it straight at the airborne pest. A deafening boom echoes as the flame connects. Téju looks at his boss, curious why they're losing their minds. Over a basic mosquito, the boss explains that for an awakener, even one single sting is a death sentence. It drains their mana instantly. In extreme cases, they collapse, just like Lee Hunnell, leaving entire parties defenseless. Countless elite teams have been slaughtered by these pests before. No wonder the hunters are sweating bullets. Something clicks. Téju recalls a toxic substance from Tang's memories that perfectly mirrors the boss's description. Seizing the moment, he activates his poison spirit art and rests his palm against Hunnell's stomach. As he scans her system, a panicked hunter begs the leader to call for an immediate retreat. They are completely exposed without any anti-insect gear. The woods are crawling with those winged demons. Since Hunnell, their ace is down, the leader realizes they're cooked. With their heavy hitter unconscious, they're sitting ducks. Suddenly, a suspicious rustle erupts and the leader draws his blade. Brace yourselves, he roars, but out hops a long-tailed rabbit. It's a bottom-tier creature used for clinical tests. The leader laughs it off, feeling like an idiot for being scared. He can't believe they were shaking over a literal bunny. He turns to tell the squad to chill out. In a bloody flash, his head and the guy next to him are sliced clean off. The mage's scream dies. She watches her comrades drop like puppets with their strings cut. Orcs. They're being ambushed by orcs. Realizing the grim odds, she tells the survivors to bolt while she holds the line. Téju, still deep in Hunnell's mana circuits, calmly tells his boss to get out of here. He's staying to back up the mage. His boss stares, shouting that he's suicidal since they're completely outnumbered. Téju doesn't blink. He just hoists the unconscious Hunnell onto his shoulders like she's a sack of rice. Take her and run, he commands. The boss tries to argue, but Téju shuts him down. There's no time. He claims he's just providing minor support and pushes them away. The boss finally retreats, vowing to return. Alone, Téju notes the orcs are moving with unsettling precision. Meanwhile, the mage is fighting for her life. She spots a massive orc charging toward the defenseless Téju and frantically pivots to protect him. She conjures a wall of flames to shield him, but that desperate move leaves her blind to an orc behind. Duck, Téju says casually, but the orc's blade is already descending and she's too confused to react. Far away in the celestial realm, Tang reflects on the wild month he's had since his arrival. Connecting with Téju was his ticket to this higher plane. He finally achieved the ascension he craved, but the dream was a lie. The celestial realm is basically a high-end prison for the bored. It's filled with ancient immortals acting like entitled toddlers, and Tang is already reaching his limit. He scoffs at these beasts with no class, regretting the centuries he spent trying to reach this dumpster fire. Still, he doesn't regret meeting Téju. That soul bond was the only thing that made this possible. They're two sides of the same coin. While Tang became a legendary master, Téju lived a life of misery. Since their powers are linked, Tang genuinely hopes the kid finds some peace in his world. To dominate the monsters on Earth, Téju needs to hit 7 stars. Tang prays his growth accelerates. If destiny allows, they'll cross paths again. Tang is already brainstorming new lethal techniques for his protege. In the middle of his deep meditation, a sudden thwack hits the back of his skull. One of those annoying immortal swordsmen just pranked him. Tang snaps, chasing the guy down with murder in his eyes. Back on the battlefield, it's clear the mage is too slow to dodge the killing blow. Téju finally moves. He blurs toward her, aiming to delete the orc before it can strike. He accidentally knocks the mage out too. Well, time to stop playing around and show these orcs true power. He flicks a handful of coins at terminal velocity. The orcs don't even have time to blink. They're vaporized in a single, effortless motion. Téju smirks, finally getting the hang of this. Now comes the headache what to do with the unconscious mage. He'd accidentally knocked her cold while trying to play hero. Still, he's low-key relieved she's out. No witness means no one finds out just how cracked he's truly become. A mere porter soloing a pack of orcs. That story would raise way too many red flags, especially with his father. Time to bounce before backup arrives. Téju smirks, realizing the absolute irony of his current situation. Just 1 month ago, he was a manaless loser. Now he's actually stressing over having way too much power. Meeting Tang totally flipped the script on his life. He whips out his pouch, gathering his coins before the site gets swarmed. Scavenging is a total grind. Hunting for every single stray coin one by one is really starting to get on his nerves. Plus, the pay-to-win struggle is real. Every thrown coin is literal money down the drain if he doesn't recover it. Automatic retrieval only kicks in at the 7th star. He needs to level up fast to stop this manual loot grind. After scouring the dirt, he's still one short. He refuses to leave even a single penny behind. He traces the trajectory and starts hunting. Found it. It's wedged deep in a tree, but as he reaches for it, he snatches a mutant mosquito midair using a surge of aura. Time for a little field research. His analysis confirms it. The bug's venom shreds internal energy and scatters it throughout the victim's body. For any awakened hunter, their mana would just evaporate instantly. This little pest is a total nightmare. It's a dead ringer for the legendary energy-scattering poison from the Murim world. Except here. On Earth, it's a death sentence with zero cure. Every hunter lives in absolute terror of these bugs. But Téju has an ace up his sleeve. Tang's ancient wisdom. He can brew a high-tier antidote. He just needs to deconstruct the poison and find earth-based herbs that match the original Murim ingredients. To get the exact formula, he does the unthinkable. He pops the mosquito into his mouth and swallows it whole. As it goes down, a wave of relief hits him. The chemical makeup is exactly what he suspected. If he can track down the right plants on this mountain, he'll have the world's first cure. Téju grins. He didn't just find a medicine. He found a literal gold mine that'll make him filthy rich. He's itching to head back and start cooking, but the atmosphere suddenly shifts. A massive shadow looms over him. It's an elite orc radiating bone-chilling murderous intent. Then the beast actually mumbles, "Kill human." A talking monster. That's impossible. Téju realizes with a jolt that he's staring at a fully awakened magical beast. This mountain is cursed. Orcs shouldn't even be in this sector, let alone high-tier variants like this one. Before he can even process the mystery, the beast makes its move. A massive axe whistles through the air, forcing Téju to lunge backward. The orc rips the blade from the earth, leaving a jagged crater that screams lethal. This thing is at least expert rank, and its raw power is off the charts. Sweat beads on Téju's brow. He's not even sure if his current arsenal can dent this tank. Only one way to find out. He launches a flurry of coins aiming straight for the beast's skull. Clang. The orc's passive defense is so dense it literally disintegrates the metal. His worst fears just came true. If the coins failed, his dagger burst technique would be like throwing toothpicks at a mountain. It's all or nothing. He'll have to bet everything on the blood seal poison palm. The orc lets out a roar. A sound so terrifying it makes Téju's legs turn to jelly. He hesitates, caught in a moment of pure dread. He scolds himself. Is he really going to fold now just because he can't one-shot the boss? The shame burns. If Tang saw him shaking like a leaf, he'd never hear the end of it. He realizes he got way too cocky after wiping those low-level mobs earlier. This is a real fight. Determination replaces fear. Téju charges his palm, glowing with lethal toxins as he dives into the kill zone. The orc swings its massive axe in a vertical arc intended to split Téju in half like firewood. Téju doesn't back down. He pours every ounce of strength into his strike, causing a violent explosion. Smoke clears, revealing a cracked axe blade, but he couldn't reach the monster's flesh. He didn't even scratch it. The odds are stacked against him, but surrender isn't an option. He prepares to launch another assault. Suddenly, a streak of light flashes. A blade cuts through the air, slicing the elite orc into ribbons. Téju stands frozen. Who or what could possibly possess that kind of terrifying godlike power, decimating an elite orc with such effortless grace? This guy is a total monster. Téju spots a distant silhouette, instantly sensing the overwhelming pressure of a master rank powerhouse. He curses his luck. He should have vanished before this witness arrived to complicate everything. Panic sets in as he frantically scrambles to fabricate a believable cover story for this stranger. "Hey punk," the man barks, demanding to know if he's the one who slaughtered these orcs. Noting the lack of markings on his face, the man concludes, Téju is just a non-awakener. Still, curiosity flickers. How did a mere human annihilate an entire pack of savage monsters alone? Téju freezes his mind, racing as he fumbles for words that won't blow his cover. This is Yong Hawk, the formidable no-god guild master and a powerhouse on the city's committee. Yong Hawk radiates pure dominance. Téju realizes immediately he's dealing with someone at the top. One wrong word could be fatal. Playing it safe, Téju begins by thanking him for the rescue. Before he can stutter out a name, his boss suddenly blunders in shattering the tense atmosphere. Relief washes over the boss, but Téju instantly deflects, crediting Yong Hawk for their survival. He claims the man's timely arrival saved him. Turning, the boss pales as he recognizes the legend. Distracted, Yong Hawk drops his interrogation and commands his crew to sweep away the monster corpses. Later, his boss explains the politics. This free city answers only to the powerful autonomous committee. No royalty rules here. Yong Hawk is one of the 3 elite titans who control everything. As Nogadan's chief, he controls security and wields absolute voting power over the city's fate. This master rank monster demands tributes from lowly porters in exchange for a semblance of safety. Yong Hawk snaps at the man, warning him to guard his tongue or face the consequences. Once the titan departs, the boss whispers a warning: never ever cross a man like him. The sheer intensity of his boss's warning leaves Téju genuinely rattled and deeply intrigued. Is he really that dangerous? The boss scoffs. Yong Hawk isn't just some official in a uniform. He's a corrupt shadow pocketing bribes to ignore the city's filth while playing the hero. These patrols, purely calculated PR stunts, designed to maintain his deceptive public image. It seems they just got unlucky, stumbling into his path while he was in a frantic hurry. Usually dealing with a master rank awakener is like facing a walking natural disaster. The boss emphasizes one final rule: stay off Yong Hawk's radar if you value your life. Urging a swift retreat, the boss signals to pack up. Téju nods his mind elsewhere. Deep down, dread gnaws at him. Without that intervention, death would have surely claimed him today. A full month has passed since his clash with Tang, yet the lack of progress stings. His growth has stalled. He's furious at himself for letting a few petty victories breed arrogance. After some brutal soul-searching and self-scolding, he resolves to shatter his current limits and evolve. From this second onward, the old complacent Téju is dead. Everything changes now. He vows to reach absolute power, ensuring he never feels this helpless ever again. 1 month later, Téju observes the city's growth, noting its surprisingly solid and modern infrastructure. Yet it's still a lawless wasteland, where reputable doctors fear to tread, leaving hospitals non-existent. The healers here are mostly shady outcasts, causing citizens to avoid their clinics like the plague. Because of this medical vacuum, local pharmacies have become the desperate lifeline for the populace. These pharmacists hold immense power, peddling empire-approved elixirs and committee-sanctioned cures to the masses. Business is skyrocketing. Reliable medicine beats a gamble at a back-alley clinic any day. Seizing the opportunity, Téju arrives to sell his newly perfected mutant mosquito antidote. Balancing porter work by day, he spent nights harvesting rare herbs and honing his deadly arts. Having mastered the poison spirit art's 3rd star, he enters Beck's pharmacy to strike a deal. "I'm not buying, I'm selling," he interrupts, prompting a scoff of disbelief from the skeptical attendant. Suddenly, a voice from the shadows halts. "Téju, it's the shop's true mastermind. This is Beck Huang." Téju pitches his homemade cure, but Beck isn't buying the hype. Dismissing him as just another sketchy street peddler, Beck shuts down the pitch immediately. He tells him to beat it. If he needs cash, go do manual labor instead. Téju pulls a vial out, revealing a game-changer, an antidote for mutant 3-striped mosquitoes. Beck's jaw drops. He demands the kid repeat exactly what he just said. Téju explains it's an oral dose that can even be taken as a preventative measure. One shot lasts 10 hours, but Beck snaps, thinking this is some sick, twisted joke. Unfazed by the yelling, Téju slams 2 more bottles onto the counter with ice-cold confidence. "Test them. If they work, call me by midnight. After that, the offer's off the table." He leaves a number under the alias Hyun-soo, keeping his real identity a total secret. He warns Beck that if the clock strikes 12, he's taking the product to a competitor. Watching from the corner is Park Jin-soo, a massive awakener who's seen it all. Once the door shuts, Jin-soo asks Beck if he actually trusts that mysterious kid. Being a total potion addict, Jin-soo doesn't hesitate and cracks open a bottle instantly. Beck figures the only way to expose a fraud is to put the stuff to the test. Deep down, he's skeptical. If the Empire's top labs failed, how could this kid succeed? The kid is just overflowing with confidence. Suddenly, Jin-soo chugs the entire antidote. Beck snaps, calling him a junkie for being reckless. "Why drink untested mystery juice?" Jin-soo just looks completely disappointed. He claims it tastes like plain water, absolutely nothing special. Beck is stunned, but asks the potion-obsessed tank if he feels even a spark of energy. Jin-soo feels 0. As a professional potion chugger, he knows when a drink is bunk. If there was even a drop of medicinal power, his refined senses would have detected it. He tosses the vial in the trash, labeling Téju a total scammer before walking away. Beck's left, questioning everything as he stares at the remaining bottles in his trembling hand. Jin-soo announces he's heading out for a frog hunt, completely dismissing the earlier encounter. While prepping, Beck caves to his doubt and trashes the vials along with the contact info. He curses himself for being naive enough to think a miracle cure actually existed. Hours later, Jin-Soo's squad is caught in a desperate struggle against a pack of weasels. His men are screaming for a retreat, their bodies already burning from lethal mosquito toxins. Jin-Soo commands them to hold the line until he can crush the monster boss. As the team's iron shield, he braces himself desperately trying to withstand the relentless assault. Suddenly, mutant mosquitoes swarm his skin. If he's bitten, the venom will stack to lethal levels. Once the toxins paralyze his mana, the team's only defense will crumble, leading to total annihilation. His shield begins to flicker. Panic sets in as the poison already started to take root. He's stunned. How did everything spiral so fast? They came prepared for bugs wearing state-of-the-art repellent suits, but fate had other plans. Out of nowhere, vicious blade-tooth weasels ambushed them in what should have been a safe zone. The weasels' claws shredded their protective gear, leaving the squad completely exposed to the toxic swarm. Distracted by the chaos, the leader makes a fatal error and takes a direct heavy hit. They tried to flee, but the monsters blocked every exit, forcing them into a suicide mission. Jin-Soo prays he can drop the boss quickly and get his dying team to safety. But then the ultimate nightmare unfolds, as a weasel lunges straight for his throat. A whip-like tail shatters his defense, leaving him wide open. Then a sudden realization hits him. It was just the outer shield. His core strength and mana reserves remain completely untouched. He remembers the antidote he took. Judging by his condition, the stuff is actually legit. He blocks out the noise and zeroes in. With that medicine working, he's still in the game. Gripping his massive blade, he lunges at the weasel. Later, Park storms into Beck's pharmacy. He's shouting for Beck, desperate to know the price of that morning's miracle cure. He wants the entire stock. Meanwhile, Téju wanders through the bustling heart of Guri's market. Living in Paju his whole life, the sheer scale of the Guri market is a total culture shock. He's taking a much-needed break. Pushing his limits during the brewing process has left him drained. Absorbing lethal toxins to craft the antidote was exhausting. Now his body demands some serious downtime. He recalls signing with Beck. The pharmacist was practically vibrating with excitement during the deal. Beck claimed this medicine would completely flip the script for hunters on Mount Jerry. In his hype, Beck reveals he originally thought Téju was a total lunatic. Téju catches the insult, but Beck quickly pivots, trying to save face. He asks about inventory. Téju drops a bombshell. 60,000 bottles are ready for shipment. What if they sell out? Téju coolly promises mass production won't be an issue. Beck presents the contract. He lists the manufacturing cost at 10,001 won each. Retail is 50,001. Beck handles all the legal red tape and drug approvals. He'll even secure the patents. Téju is floored, but for a very different reason. His actual cost is under 100 won. Téju nods, agreeing that the terms are fair. 60,000 bottles equals 3 billion won. Beck notes that taxes still need to be deducted. That leaves 2.7 billion. Téju is stunned by the low 10% tax rate. Téju counters with a new proposal. He offers Beck an exclusive one-year distribution deal. The supply price, just 35,000 won. Beck can't believe his ears. He warns Téju that he doesn't have to be this generous with the pricing. Téju mentions the rumors. Everyone knows Beck is the father of the city's orphans. Knowing the pharmacy profits fund that orphanage, Téju wants to contribute to the cause. All he asks in return is a dedicated facility to brew the antidote. With teary eyes, Beck agrees. They shake on it, sealing a deal that changes everything. With a massive advance payment in his pocket, Téju finally starts his day off. He hits the market for new equipment only to be stopped by a sketchy bald guy. The man offers him weapons. Téju is baffled, wondering if this guy is actually serious. The stranger insists his nearby shop is a gold mine, promising to fulfill any hunter's needs. He claims to have it all. He even offers a handsome guy discount to sweeten the deal. Téju is totally creeped out. He politely declines, trying to shake the weirdo off. But the man grabs him, begging him to just take one quick look inside. Browsing is free. He starts spouting weird lines, inviting Téju to follow him home. He promises dreams and romance, which only makes Téju panic even more. For a blacksmith, his grip is terrifyingly strong. Téju is literally being hauled away. Téju realizes he's a third star. Is this weirdo actually a hidden master craftsman? They reach the workshop, and Téju is instantly stunned by the legendary tier weaponry. He stares at the masterpieces, asking if the man forged them all. The smith proudly confirms it. He claims to be the city's finest. Téju activates his observation eyes to verify the claim. The stats don't lie. This guy is the real deal. Guess you really can't judge by appearances. Satisfied, Téju hands over a blueprint. He wants 100 of them, and he wants them now. The blacksmith scrutinizes the blueprints, instantly recognizing the legendary willow leaf daggers. Yet, he remains skeptical. He scoffs, doubting such tiny blades could ever serve as lethal throwing knives for a warrior like Téju. To actually draw blood, the smith insists on using high-grade monosteel to ensure every strike packs a punch. When Téju asks if he is up for the task, the smith nods but warns the crafting process will take time. Téju doesn't blink, giving the green light before asking for the final damage to his wallet. The blacksmith runs the numbers, dropping a staggering price tag of 250 million won on the table. A 10% down payment is required immediately, though Téju already braced himself for this eye-watering cost. Dropping that much on 100 single-use tools is wild, yet Téju remains unfazed by the steep investment. He clears the full balance on the spot, handing over his coordinates for the very first prototype delivery. With his lethality secured, Téju shifts his focus toward his next priority, finding some high-tier protective gear. He requires a tactical fit capable of concealing a massive arsenal of poisons and hidden blades Tang style. He briefly envisions himself in a traditional Tang clan robe before immediately cringing at the dramatic mental image. Low-key modern is the move. Suddenly, a scout from the prestigious Flame Boutique intercepts him with an offer. She excitedly pitches their newest drop, a premium collection of armor, forged from the hides of magical beasts. Their flagship items are on full display, featuring sleek coats crafted from high-ranking monster leather that very afternoon. Téju scans the catalog, realizing one particular coat offers the perfect blend of utility and stealth he needs. This enchanted leather piece would easily outperform a bulky robe while keeping his lethal intentions completely hidden. Across the city, two high-profile women observe the skyline from a tram, their eyes fixed on the distant fortress. That exclusive citadel is reserved for the elite, isolated by water, since every bridge is under total lockdown. Among them is Yeonhee, the powerhouse heiress of the Bakdu group and a rising star in the military academy. As a top-tier cadet, she is disgusted by how the ruling class cowers behind high walls for safety. Her assistant breaks the silence, questioning if a mere fox leather coat was really worth this entire trip. Yeonhee clarifies, this isn't some bargain leather. It is the legendary hide of a Siberian illusion fox. These creatures are ghosts in the wild, making them nearly impossible to track and even harder to slay. Beyond its insane defensive stats, the leather naturally regulates temperature, staying icy cool in summer and cozy in winter. The assistant is shook. She quickly agrees that a relic this rare is definitely worth the hype. Remembering the mission, she offers Yeonhee a black card provided by her grandfather to cover any expense. Yeonhee shuts it down instantly. She is determined to swipe her own plastic and maintain her fierce independence. Her assistant expected nothing less. Minutes later, the tram screeches to a halt at the bustling Gurney market. The doors hiss open and the two ladies step out, ready to secure their high-end prize. Yeonhee wastes no time leading the charge straight toward the boutique to inspect the legendary coat in person. Simultaneously, Téju enters the shop, noticing a fiery redhead already assisting Yeonhee and her nervous secretary. He clears his throat, letting them know he was sent here by the scout from the street. The staffer asks for a moment, making the secretary panic that Téju might snatch up their coveted coat. As the employee approaches Téju to welcome him, her professional mask suddenly cracks into total shock. She recognizes him instantly, though Téju is drawing a blank. She reveals she was the mage from the raid, specifically the chaotic night of the orc raid. Téju is confused, wondering why a mage is working retail. She explains that the boutique is her actual career, while monster hunting is just a lucrative side hustle. A huge smile spreads across her face as she admits she has been desperately searching for him. Cold sweat beads on Teju's neck. He starts backing away, questioning why on earth she is tracking him down. He tries to play it cool, mentioning her recovery from that brutal mission, before wishing her a healthy life. Back then, Téju purposefully let her take all the glory for slaying those orcs to stay anonymous. Flying solo was his goal, but he knew this secret had a dangerous expiration date once she woke up. He expected the truth to leak eventually, and he was already mentally preparing his next tactical escape. Téju decides it is time to bolt before she starts digging into what really happened during that bloodbath. Suddenly, the lady lunges forward, gripping him and begging him to wait. With trembling eyes, she asks if he's her savior. Since the Nogadan Guild assumed she'd blacked out from mana depletion after the slaughter, she quickly connects the dots. Realizing Téju fed them, that cover story, she simply played along. Now the mage turns to him with a heavy gaze. She admits his motives are a mystery, but her debt is absolute. It's solely because of his intervention that she could finally recover her fallen team. Tears stream down her face as she pours out her soul. Téju stands there completely frozen. This level of raw emotion is a language he simply doesn't speak. Sure, he intervened, but it wasn't out of kindness. It was a cold, calculated test of his new techniques. He awkwardly tries to steady her, wondering if he even deserves this outpouring of genuine thanks. Sensing his discomfort, she offers an apology. But the moment is shattered by Yeonhee's secretary barking orders. She demands to know why they're being kept waiting. In response, the mage pivots and drops into a deep bow. She begs Yeonhee for forgiveness, delivering a bombshell. The deal for the coat is officially dead. The secretary is livid. She reminds the mage that measurements are done and the contract is practically signed. All that's left is the gold. Backtracking now is a major insult. She points out how much effort Yeonhee spent traveling here just for this piece. The mage acknowledges the trouble she's caused, fully aware of the immense pressure Yanhee is under. However, she insists that this silver fox coat is more than merchandise. Seconds ago, she was ready to sell, but now a much more important purpose has revealed itself. She can't let it go to just anyone anymore. Yanhee stands stunned by the sudden rejection. The mage promises to cover any losses, her voice thick with regret. The secretary is ready to go nuclear and start a scene, but Yanhee raises a hand signaling it's over. Surprisingly, Yanhee decides to walk away, telling her aide that it's finally time to move on. Her secretary is baffled. How could she just give up on the one item she's been obsessing over? Yanhee simply notes that the mage found a higher calling for it. As they vanish, Téju offers an apology. He's worried he's just cost her a high-tier VIP client. But the mage shakes her head wearing a somber expression. She insists the apology should be hers. Confused, Téju asks why she'd sabotage such a massive sale. The lady stares at him in disbelief. She can't believe he's actually asking that. She bluntly asks if anyone has ever mentioned how slow he is. True to form, Téju blankly admits he hasn't. Apparently, she's the first person to ever call him out for being so dense. She can only sigh in frustration. Since he's clearly not getting it, she spells it out. The coat is a gift for him. Téju's jaw hits the floor. He's stunned. A gift. For what? The mage clarifies her intentions with a look of deep sincerity. This legendary silver fox leather is his reward for saving her life. Téju immediately tries to decline the extravagant gift. He confesses that he didn't save her to be a hero. It was just a byproduct of his own agenda. The mage brushes his excuses aside. To her, motives are irrelevant. The fact remains that she's alive because of him. She's received his grace, and that's all that matters. She suggests he keep saving lives to ease his conscience. That way others might be spared the tragedy her lover faced. Téju is left speechless, his world tilting. Never in his life has anyone looked at him with such profound gratitude. It's a completely foreign sensation. Since day one, he's been drowning in spite and criticism. He was comfortable in the role of the outcast. But despite his cynical intentions, he realizes he actually likes the warmth of being thanked. It feels right. He finally relents, agreeing to take the coat. The mage exhales a breath she didn't know she was holding. Now it's time to get him fitted. Meanwhile, far above in the celestial realm, things are much less emotional. Dongbin Seong, the legendary swordsman, is literally dying of boredom. He's tired of the same old divine routine. He mocks the repetitive fashion, the same white robes, the same beards. The other immortals think he's being a hypocrite. But Dongbin points out that Tang is the only one breaking the mold. He's actually got some serious style. Tang has ditched the traditional look for a trendy otherworld haircut and a sharp beard trim. He's even rocking custom coats that Dongbin has never seen. It's a total vibe shift in the heavens. Everyone is wondering where he's getting these wild ideas. Bored out of his mind, Dongbin decides to investigate. He figures if he learns the secret to this drip eternity might be more bearable. Chaos loves company. With his mind finally made up, he decides it's time to settle things with Tang. He's betting that a heavenly peach from the celestial realm will be enough to win Tang over. Over at the orphanage, the hidden vault has been fully converted into Téju's private alchemy lab. Just as he finishes brewing the latest batch, Beck calls in and Téju confirms the job is done. Beck sighs in relief, admitting their stock is bone dry and desperate for a restock immediately. Téju is floored. He just sent a massive shipment yesterday, and they're already sold out. Beck explains that the hype is real. Word of the medicine's god-tier effects has spread like wildfire. It's pure chaos at the shop, with awakeners practically trampling each other to get their hands on it. Some buyers are even hoarding the supply, causing their entire inventory to vanish in record time. Téju tells Beck to announce a steady supply so people stop panic buying like it's the apocalypse. He orders a strict 2-bottle limit per customer, and Beck promises to enforce the new policy. Still, Beck is worried that cheap knockoffs will start flooding the market to capitalize on their success. Téju isn't sweating it. Imitators might try their luck later, but right now, it's impossible to copy. Besides, he's already got plans to drop an even better formula if any competitors show up. Deep down, he knows his work is untouchable since it was forged using the power of the poison spirit. Beck agrees to manage the sales frenzy, but begs Téju to keep the production lines moving. Before hanging up, Téju checks on the status of the packaging machine he was promised. Boxing the product is a soul-crushing grind. He's already hand-packaged 20,000 bottles today alone. He's been a slave to the lab for a solid week, hasn't even seen his own apartment. Beck promises to speed things up just as 2 orphans decide to sneak down toward the vault. The kids are convinced a ghost is haunting the basement, but the boy swears he'll fight it off. Suddenly, the heavy vault door creaks open, unleashing a wave of absolute concentrated stench. Téju stumbles out, with arms full of packages, flashing an exhausted smile at the terrified children. The kids lose their minds, bolting away while screaming about a smelly ghost haunting the halls. Téju stands there baffled, wondering why they're roasting him when he's just a regular guy. Sure, he hasn't showered in 7 days, but he didn't think he smelled that lethal. That's when he remembers his high-stakes meeting with his porter boss, the legendary Mr. O. He considers a quick scrub, but the clock is ticking and he's already running dangerously behind. While he's debating his hygiene, a woman who happens to be Beck's daughter suddenly appears. The two kids are cowering behind her, still convinced Téju is a literal basement phantom. She mentions that her father told her about the genius working on the top-secret antidote. Téju introduces himself, and she reveals her name is the beautiful Beck So-yeon. She laughs, explaining she only came down because the kids were hysterical about a basement monster. She hands him a parcel, which Téju realizes is the prototype sample from the blacksmith. He thanks So-yeon for the perfect timing, but she's busy pinching her nose in sheer disgust. She tells him to keep the partnership with her dad strong, but strongly suggests he finds a shower. After pointing him toward the first-floor bathroom, So-yeon leads the traumatized kids away. The kids yell one last reminder to wash up. Téju, however, is dying to see his new gear. He's been hyped for these willow leaf flying daggers, and he finds a note tucked inside the box. The blacksmith's note is a desperate plea for feedback once Téju tests the blades out. The guy's romantic writing style is so creepy that Téju immediately trashes the note in frustration. Note destroyed, he inspects the steel, and is relieved to see the craftsmanship is actually elite. The edge is razor-sharp and solid. He gives it a practice toss, confirming the balance is flawless. Since the daggers are a masterpiece, he can't wait to see how the custom coat turns out. With his pockets full of cash, he's ready to pay up, but first he's got to move before he's late. But first, a quick rinse is a must. Shortly after Téju reaches Mount Guri to rendezvous with Oh and the rest of the crew, he offers a brief apology for being the last to arrive, checking if he's kept the group hanging for too long. Oh brushes it off, saying they literally just pulled up themselves. He's just grateful Téju could make it on such short notice. Téju tells him not to sweat it. Oh has backed him up plenty of times, so a small favor like this is nothing. Suddenly, a party member named Jang Won-jun starts talking trash, calling Téju a bottom-tier porter with zero respect. He demands an apology for the delay, but Téju stands his ground, telling Won-jun he's seriously overstepping with that attitude. Since he wasn't actually late, Téju sees no reason to bow down. This backtalk sends Won-jun into a total frenzy. Infuriated that a mere porter would dare speak up, Won-jun threatens to cut him down. Taeju's patience is officially hitting zero. Téju considers ending him right there. He realizes the original porters probably bolted, leaving him as the unlucky substitute for this toxic squad. Oh leans in and whispers, begging Téju to ignore the prick. He can't afford to let this lucrative deal go up in flames. Thinking of the massive payday, Téju bites his tongue. Won-jun, however, mistakes this silence for pure cowardice and fear of his blade. He keeps running his mouth, oblivious to the fact that Téju is internally seething at the entire situation. Finally, Téju drops a forced apology. The team leader tells Won-jun to drop it, dismissing Téju as a total waste of energy. Won-jun struts off, throwing one last jab about how Téju is lucky to still have his head attached. Oh checks in to see if Téju is hanging in there feeling guilty, but Téju assures him he's totally fine. Suddenly, Téju notices a major red flag. There are only 7 people. A raid like this usually demands a 15-man squad. He can't stay silent and points out their dangerously low numbers. Something feels seriously wrong about this setup. Apparently, they've trimmed the fat because of a newly developed mosquito antidote. They think they're safe with a smaller team. This questioning triggers Won-jun again. He gets in Taeju's face, asking if he's actually looking for a death sentence today. Taeju remains calm, explaining he's only looking out for the safety of the porters Won-jun loves to look down on. When he mentions backing out if it's a suicide mission, Won-jun's ego practically explodes with rage. He mocks Taeju for acting tough while standing on the brink of death. Those words immediately set off alarm bells in Taeju's head. Won-jun prepares to strike, but the leader Kwon Dong-seok intervenes. He needs someone alive to carry their heavy gear. However, Kwon silences Taeju with a cold warning. If he utters one more word, he's a dead man. He threatens to butcher him and feed the scraps to magical beasts. The two elites walk away laughing at Taeju like he's garbage. At this point, Taeju has already marked them for the afterlife. They've crossed the point of no return, and he has the power to end them. He holds back for now. Moments later, Kwon orders everyone to dose up on the antidote. It's time to head into the belly of the beast. Oh tries to smooth things over again, but Taeju waves it off. Still, he needs answers about their sketchy strategy. He asks if they're seriously going in understaffed. Oh finally spills the details on their target. They're heading into the weasel hunting grounds. According to his intel, the plan isn't as reckless as it looks. Usually, these raids require an army to fight off the mosquito swarms, but this new antidote is a total game changer. They can ditch the heavy bug suits and move with a lean, fast squad. Oh admits he's nervous, but the plan seems solid. With 2 high-level beginners on point, he thinks they'll be fine. He hands Taeju a vial of the precious antidote. As Taeju takes the bottle, it hits him. His own hidden influence has triggered a massive shift in how the world operates. He flashes back to the mage's words about protecting others. By creating this antidote, he's already saved countless lives from the shadows. The realization sinks in. He's prevented a massacre by neutralizing the mosquito threat before it even started. Fulfilling that wish feels good, but Téju also senses a darker transformation happening within his own soul. His bloodlust has nearly boiled over twice already today. These trash party members are pushing him toward an edge he didn't know existed. He realizes Tang's ruthless personality is merging with his own. He's no longer the type to just turn the other cheek. It's the venomous heart. Since the soul sharing began, Tang's lethal instincts have been leaking into Taeju's psyche. Surprisingly, he doesn't hate the change. In a world this cruel, being nice was just another word for being a victim. He tells O to stay glued to his side during the raid. O is baffled that a weak porter is offering him protection. He laughs it off as a joke, thinking it's hilarious that a non-awakened guy is acting like a bodyguard for hunters. But Téju isn't playing. He can feel a chilling, grim presence radiating from the shadows of the dense forest. A massive wave of murderous intent is locked onto them. Something ancient and hungry is watching from the dark. Tang was hunting the traitors allied with the demonic cult. He finally cornered one of the rats. The guy pleaded for mercy, crying about a frame-up, but Tang wasn't buying any of it. He reveals he knows their squad slaughtered innocents, just to craft those vile demonic blood pills. Even the lightning demon Juge-chon sacrificed his own flesh and blood. Tang is absolutely livid. Without a shred of pity, he forces Yugi down before obliterating him with a devastating final strike. He vows to send the rest of the snakes to hell. Meanwhile, at Mount Jiri, the group mops up weasels. Wonjun starts flexing, bragging that these pests are light work, now that they are unburdened. Those heavy bug-repellent suits are gone. They have scored a pile of energy crystals and Wonjun is vibing. He starts talking mad trash to Téju, claiming they do not need a massive crew anyway. He mocks Téju for being a lowly porter, calling him out for being a total scaredy cat. Oken senses Taeju's rising killing intent and tries to play peacemaker. He urges Téju to just back down. He wants to keep things chill, but Téju is disgusted by Wonjun's massive, unearned ego. Since Téju brewed the antidote, he knows these guys are basically walking corpses if he stops helping. He holds his blade, deciding these losers are not even worth being test subjects for his willow leaf style. These flying daggers stay sheathed. For now, the group easily hunts weasels thanks to his secret medicine. But he wonders, how will these arrogant fools survive the real nightmare hiding in the shadows? Téju warns O that the real bloodbath is starting. Don't stray from my side, he reminds him. O is clueless, asking what is going down. Téju smirks, saying it is just a little something troublesome. A classic mountain terror, a magical beast ambush. Suddenly, a massive, red-furred wolf lunges into view. It looks like a straight-up demon from the distance. Cold sweat starts pouring down O's face. Téju tells him to stay cool, but O is panicking, screaming that they need to dip immediately. This is a high-tier monster that usually takes a full ranker squad to down. One is already a nightmare. Worse, these predators always hunt in pairs, mate and mate. Wonjun tries to act like a main character. He swings wildly at a wolf, but it effortlessly dodges. Terrified, he starts screaming for Kwan's help. But Kwan pulls a total coward move, ditching the entire team and bolting. One girl panics near Wonjun. She is sobbing, thinking they are finished, but Wonjun barks at her that they will handle it the usual way. Their usual way means using the porters as live bait, just like they have always done. O turns to Téju, desperate for proof. He cannot just bet his life on a few cool words. Téju does not blink. Fine, he says. I will show you exactly what I am capable of. He draws a single dagger. In a flash of the flying dagger art, he aims right for Wonjun's ear. It slices through flesh like butter and embeds itself deep into a solid rock behind him. O is stunned into silence. Téju looks at the squad with pure disgust, calling them literal garbage. That throw was surgical. It claimed Wonjun's right ear with terrifying precision. The blade missed the fleeing Kwan by an inch. Suddenly, Wonjun realizes the wolf in his path is already a corpse. Téju killed the beast and cut off Kwan's escape route in one move. O is vibrating with shock, wondering how he one-shotted it. The second wolf howls in agony. It is devastated by its partner's death, but Téju drops his aura like a hammer. Stay, boy, he commands. Twitch and you are next. He then asks the Awakeners if this is their pathetic standard procedure. Wonjun is still acting tough, asking why a lowly porter cares how they run their business. He says the weak exist to die for the awakened. Téju actually smiles at that cold logic. Glad we agree, he says, because you are about to feel exactly what that is like. He leaps up. Taking a front row seat on a rock, he unlashes the remaining wolf and tells the elites to fight. Téju kicks back like he is watching a blockbuster film, completely unbothered by the chaos. I already did half the work, he mocks. Dealing with one measly wolf should not be a problem. Kwan, clutching his bleeding head, thinks Téju is just trolling. He snarls, asking if Téju wants to die. Faced with certain death, the team's female hunter desperately pleads for Téju to slay the beast. She offers a massive bounty, but Wonjun cold-heartedly snaps at her to stay silent. Mid-slur, a dagger whistles past his skull, shearing his ear off and leaving him bloody and earless. Téju mocks him, claiming he didn't need that ear anyway since he's clearly deaf to reason. Unleashing a soul-crushing pressure, Téju reminds the hunters of their place. He's the porter, they're the fighters. Recalling their energy against the weasels, Taiju tells them he expects that same peak performance now. He demands that same excitement. Wonjun scoffs, refusing to take orders from a mere luggage carrier. Since they refuse to listen, Taiju shrugs. The wolf has its own deadly plans for them. Wonjun draws his blade, but in a blur, his head is severed. Quan, the other, pro, is next. The wolf lunges, crushing Quan instantly. The remaining cowards flee, but the predator hunts them down. With the hunters dead, the beast turns its gaze toward Oh Hu, screams for Téju in terror. Téju notes the creature's ego has spiked after feasting on those so-called elite hunters. He initially intended to let it live, having already flexed the massive power gap between them. Since the beast chose death, Téju obliges. He launches himself into the air like a predator. A poison-infused palm strike detonates against the wolf, shattering the ground and leaving Oh paralyzed with awe. Téju lacks an awakener's mark, yet he's a god. Oh wonders why a titan is carrying bags. The realization hits, oh, like a truck, the mysterious orc slayer from before was definitely Téju. He used the mage as a smokescreen for his power. Now the monster in human skin approaches. Oh. Téju sighs, enjoying the thrill of combat after brewing boring antidotes. Oh's blood runs cold. Convinced his time is up, Oh collapses to the ground. The second Téju looms over him. As Oh begs for mercy, Téju chuckles awkwardly, claiming he has zero interest in taking his life. Blinking in disbelief, Oh listens as Téju tells him to stop groveling and stand up already. When asked if he's injured, Oh frantically shakes his head, desperate to prove he's perfectly fine. Téju requests a favor. Oh, eager to please, promises anything before Téju even mentions the witness part. Oh instantly claims he's legally blind and saw nothing. Téju smirks, liking this guy's survival instincts. They begin their descent, leaving the carnage behind. Téju knows exactly what happens next. The mountain scavengers will erase the evidence, just like in Mount Sirac. He didn't pull the trigger. He led them to hell and feels zero remorse. Neither side of his fractured psyche feels guilt. To him, they were just trash. Téju has zero tolerance for scumbags who hide behind the weak. They reminded him of the vile Jug clan. Meanwhile, deep within the walls of Guri Castle, at YJ Pharmacy's high-stakes HQ, the corporate big bosses are fuming with absolute rage. Beck's new antidote has tanked their sales. Nambok, the head of Sajipyeong, is losing his mind. He rants about their citywide monopoly being threatened by a single tiny drugstore. They're itching to crush Beck, but the Autonomy Committee has placed him under a strict protective order. Lee Gilho scoffs at Beck's charity work with orphans, calling the whole thing a pathetic PR stunt. Nambok tells Gilho to drop the attitude and offer solutions. Sok from YJ steps in. Tired of the constant bickering, Sok demands they focus on the actual life or death problem at hand. He tells them to cut the crap and reveal their progress. They're all sinking together after all. Fear hangs heavy as they struggle with the antidote, but Nambok insists success is imminent. Success is just a matter of time, he claims. Gilho explodes, having heard that lie before. Future promises won't pay bills. They're staring down the barrel of total bankruptcy right now. Seok's eyes darken as he suggests they play dirty, committee rules be damned. Gilho grins. Finally, some real action. He asks if the intel gathering is complete. Sok fires up the projector, signaling the start of their sinister counterattack. He drops the bombshell. The mastermind behind the miracle cure is Téju Kim's eldest son. With Kim being a high-ranking brigadier general, Nambok is low-key spiraling, fearing they've bitten off way more than they can chew. But Sok shuts him down, claiming the surface-level stuff is just a smokescreen. The real juicy intel is buried way deeper. Their Paju snitch dropped a bombshell. Téju is nothing but a mana reject. He only enlisted after getting kicked out. His birth mom dead. He had zero options left. Now his dad's with a Japanese stepmother, and since Taeju's gone completely ghost on his family, he's basically on his own. Nambok wants to track him down first, betting that no matter what, Bake promised, everyone has a price. If he doesn't take the bait, they'll just pivot to their usual more violent methods to finish the job. Meanwhile, over at the Mount Jiri Imperial Base, the commander finally gets his hands on the classified files he's been hunting. It's an Autonomy Committee dossier, and it's focused entirely on Taeju's shady background. The commander is shook to learn Téju is Kim's son. Apparently a past supply deal with them got tanked. That contract was rejected back then, simply because bound by the Emperor's absolute decree, the meddling stops at Mount Guri as they're forced to retreat. Yet a fresh opportunity arises. Since Téju is General Kim's flesh and blood, the commander smells a shortcut. It turns out this high-ranking officer is plotting a massive all-out raid on Mount Guri. His goal, seizing that vital antidote to stop a monster wave dead in its tracks. Since they are still kin, and the family ties haven't been severed, the commander is betting everything on a guaranteed supply chain. Meet Jin Hyung, a powerhouse master rank awakener and lieutenant general with zero time for games. He snaps an order to his aide, demanding an immediate line to Brigadier General Kim in Paju. Soon, Kim gets the call about his son's legendary medicine, while his wife Honda hovers nearby. Suddenly, Honda's acting like Téju is her favorite person, even suggesting a trip to Guri. She plays the concerned parent, claiming the boy is way too naive for the real world. Fearful he'll get played for his new wealth, she's shut down when Kim tells her to back off. Her jaw drops at his bluntness. Kim doubles down, making his stance crystal clear to her. Téju was erased from their legacy long ago. He's a child who has finally flown the coop. Honda scoffs, calling the legal papers a joke because divine bonds can't just be deleted like that. Exhausted by her mental gymnastics, Kim's patience for his wife has completely evaporated. He tells her to leave the boy alone if she has any shred of soul left. Honda is shook. A chill runs down her spine. Does he know she tried to have the boy eliminated? She shakes it off. With Indong silenced forever, there's no trail leading back to her. Switching tactics, she screams at Kim to exploit Téju's antidote for a military promotion. Since the brass expects results, she loses it, demanding to know how they'll survive without more support. She brings up their failing finances, asking how much longer they can carry the burden alone. Using their other son's tuition as a weapon, she tries to guilt-trip him into submission. Unfazed, Kim tells her to handle Téju herself, sending a fuming Honda stomping out. She vows to play dirty her own way, leaving Kim to finally catch a breath of peace. He'd mourned his son for months, convinced the silence meant he was buried in the dirt. But seeing him thrive in Guri brings a wave of relief. At least the boy's final days count. Back at the Guri market, Téju hits up the Flame Boutique to collect some serious drip. His 4 billion won coat is finally ready, and man, it fits like a second skin. He's genuinely impressed, realizing gear made from high-tier monster parts is on another level. It's feather-light, rock-solid in defense, and even regulates his body temperature automatically. The subtle gray dye job is perfect, but the massive hidden storage space is the real flex. The mage smiles, admitting she customized the specs specifically with his lifestyle in mind. Based on his gear, she's pegged him for a high-tier stealth class awakener. Téju just laughs it off. He goes along with the cover story, having no better excuse for his insane stats. Refusing a freebie, he demands the bill, but the mage won't take a single cent. To her, the coat is a small price for her life, and she's happy to pay it. Téju worries he's putting her in a jam since the piece was originally for someone else. She waves it off, having already hooked up Yun-hee with a replacement. Since she won't budge, Téju spots a full inventory rack and decides to buy out the entire section. It's a massive haul for the orphanage kids, a wholesome move that also helps her business. She can't say no to that, so she heads off to get the massive haul ready for him. She's struck by his kindness, but the mood shifts when Sok suddenly crashes the party. Sok tries to act professional, sliding over a business card like he's a big deal. Téju doesn't hide his disgust, instantly rejecting the guy. Sok assumes it's just nerves. Taeju's done playing nice. He demands to know what the guy wants and how he tracked him. Seok flexes his influence, claiming the association pharmacy has eyes and ears everywhere in the city. He gets straight to the point, telling Téju he isn't playing around, he wants that poison. He demands a steady supply of the mosquito antidote for his crew. Téju just smirks, questioning if this is a request, or is it a threat. Sok calls it a favor for now, but Téju shuts him down instantly. Sok doubles down, offering to cover all breach of contract fees and pay triple the current market rate. Even with that massive bag, Téju refuses, claiming he's a man of his word. But Sok isn't backing off. He dangles 5 billion for the formula. Téju laughs, asking if Sok would sell something so priceless for peanuts. Seok's ego takes a hit, and visible irritation boils over as he delivers a chilling warning. He warns Téju that life in Guri is about to get rough, but Téju couldn't care less. He's more than capable of handling himself. When the mage finally returns, Sok has already vanished. She's stunned, she didn't sense anyone despite the heavy atmosphere. Téju tells her to brush it off. He dismisses Sok as a mere peddler he's already dealt with. Meanwhile, Sok is already on the phone. He tells his partner it's time to initiate the mission, ordering them to proceed with their usual methods. Later, at his mansion's construction site, Téju arrives bearing gifts for the workers. Baek wonders about the bags, and Téju reveals he bought new clothes for Baek's kids as a thank you. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Baek pulls him into a bear hug, calling Téju his absolute savior. He vows never to forget this kindness, swearing to work even harder to support Téju's vision. Téju smiles, returning the thanks for Baek's help in securing the property and managing the build. As they walk the site, Téju drops a bombshell. He's finally considering Baek's previous proposal. Baek is shocked by the sudden change of heart. Téju explains that Sok's earlier visit sealed the deal. That encounter gave him the clarity he needed, but mentioning Sok's name immediately makes Baek tense up. Panicked, Baek asks if Sok tried anything violent, but Téju calmly tells him he's perfectly fine. It was just a few empty threats, but it was a harsh reminder of how the powerless are treated. That realization fuels his ambition. He's officially decided to launch his own pharmaceutical empire. He wants Baek by his side for this venture, and Baek eagerly commits to the new journey. Téju tells him to wrap up the construction while he goes off-grid for a special mission. He'll be MIA until the grand opening, focusing all his energy on developing revolutionary new formulas. Enter the formless poison spirit art, the legendary forbidden technique exclusive to the Tang clan. It fuses the clan's core mental methods with 5 elements qi, refined through centuries of martial enlightenment. 10 stars define this path. The first 2 focus on essence creation, while the next 2 master antidotes. Stars 5 through 9 unlock energy emission, poison physiques, and the lethal art of sword energy projection. The 10th star marks the spirit's manifestation, but the ultimate goal is the true poison spirit awakening. Only those who reach this pinnacle can wield the clan's ultimate secret technique, a feat of pure enlightenment. The 10,000 torrential petal rain, the very move used to liquefy the demonic cult's heavenly demon. Deep within Mount Jirite, Ju hunts venomous beasts, eventually crossing paths with a massive poison claw lynx. The beast is tiger-sized and relentless, pushing Téju to the absolute brink of his internal reserves. Still, at the 3rd star, he gauges his strength as somewhere between a second and first-rate martial artist. For someone with his ambitions, this level is pathetic. He refuses to settle for such mediocre power. That's why he's grinding on this mountain, harvesting venom sacs from every magical beast he slaughters. The lynx's sac is massive. With the Tang clan's memories refining, this poison is second nature to him. He knows that consuming diverse toxins is the fastest shortcut to skyrocketing his cultivation levels. His progress stalled at the 3rd star, while his body adapted, but now his vessel is finally stable. Breaking through to the next stage is finally within reach. He just needs one specific catalyst: the spore poison water deer. If he can absorb its essence, his evolution will be complete. After looting his daggers, he tracks down his target, the deceptively docile spore poison water deer. A docile-looking magical beast with camel-like humps appears. Without a second thought, Téju cleaves its head clean off. Suddenly, the horrific reason this creature is feared manifests. The moment its life fades, its humps explode, unleashing a cloud of lethal microscopic spores. Téju is instantly engulfed. This toxin literally melts gas mask filters. These deadly particles linger for a full hour before vanishing. Téju admits it's the most potent venom he's ever faced. He wastes no time getting to work. Why let such a lethal resource go to waste? He starts condensing the toxic energy for absorption, utilizing the poison spirit art to transmute it into raw power. He feels the breakthrough coming. He's aiming for the 4th star. Hours pass as he tirelessly circulates his qi. The sheer volume of toxin makes the conversion process incredibly grueling and slow. He wonders if he's bitten off more than he can chew. Still, his mastery keeps him calm. Developing a cure will be easy. Plus, Earth's toxins seem far more varied than the Murim world's. With this edge, he'll level up at breakneck speed. Weakness is no longer an option for him. After endless cycles of qi, he finally ascends to the 4th star. Raw energy surges through him. Téju rises, realizing he's been isolated here for a while. But the gains were absolutely worth it. He accelerated his cultivation and secured the components for the spore deer's cure. It's time to descend. He suspects the situation at YJ Pharmacy has probably spiraled into chaos. Returning to the shop, he finds the place eerily deserted. Something is definitely wrong. For a second, he thinks they're sold out. Baek is just relieved he's back after 14 days. Baek feared the worst since he went dark. Téju simply says his phone was powered down. He was busy grinding and crafting cures. He notices the pure anxiety on his team's faces. He demands to know what happened. Baek reveals that the big pharma reps have completely blacklisted them. They cleared the shelves. Even worse, the committee's drug approval branch is breathing down their necks. They're demanding our formulas, claiming they need to investigate side effects. Téju's eyes narrow. Is this Seok's work? Baek isn't sure, but this reeks of the man's usual dirty tactics. Apparently that snake also holds a seat on the autonomy committee. He's abusing his power. What if we refuse to comply? Baek warns that a total sales ban would follow. Téju suspects the Empire's own committee member is in bed with Seok, enabling this corruption. They're playing dirty, just like the Juje clan. But Téju knows exactly how to handle trash. He decides to take a page from the Tang family's book. It's time for a preemptive strike. He lays out the plan. To survive this, they need to go on the offensive immediately. Baek is lost. Téju points out that since they're claiming side effects, why bother selling it? If it's dangerous, let's stop. Téju orders them to shut down the pharmacy right now. Doors locked, they head to the orphanage. Téju brings the rare deer meat for a feast. One bite of the spore deer sends Téju to heaven. This is easily the Empire's finest delicacy. He realizes the rumors are true. The Emperor has a total monopoly on this elite meat. Only he knows how to neutralize the poison. He's definitely glad he mastered this specific cure. He initially wanted to save lives during beast waves, but this meat is a game changer. This flavor is addictive. Anyone who gets a taste will become a complete slave to it. Everyone is obsessed. Téju is already plotting a massive business empire centered around this meat. He'll sell to the meat-obsessed emperor and size up his legendary sword skills while he's at it. Rumors claim the emperor is a grandmaster. Dinner ends with Beck full and incredibly grateful. He can't believe the cure is for the dreaded water deer. Téju's genius is truly terrifying. Despite the stress of closing, Téju tells him to keep calm and trust the process. He wants to see who breaks first. 5 days pass and Park arrives at the pharmacy. He's stunned to see the closed sign still hanging. Panic starts to set in. With his antidote supply hitting rock bottom, hunting is now a total suicide mission. Suddenly, several awakeners storm the scene. They're actually buying into the toxic rumors spreading like wildfire. Whispers claim the medicine is a trap that makes you even sicker. That's the excuse the committee used to demand the secret formula. Unable to take the heat, Beck was forced to shut down. Park is losing it over these brainless lies. He's living proof the meds are legit, having used Beck's stash with 0 side effects. Out of nowhere, a suffocating aura crushes the atmosphere. It's the powerhouse Yong Hawk stepping into the fray. Park is stunned to see the vigilante captain here. Is this legend actually in bed with the corporate snakes at YJ Pharmacy? Yong Hawk coldly informs the crowd that the shutdown was a direct committee mandate. The shop stays sealed until every drop of that formula is stripped and analyzed. He barks at the awakeners to beat it. He's tired of them loitering around his crime scene. But Park isn't backing down from this absolute circus. I was part of the trials, Park screams, proving he's perfectly fine. He demands to know how they'll survive the hunt. Are they really expected to go back to those trash insect suits? The mob erupts in protest. They aren't about to let the committee drag them back to the dark ages of hunting. They demand Beck be allowed to sell, or for these victims to show their faces. They know the elites don't care because their high-rank bodies are naturally poison-resistant. Yong Hawk is stunned by their audacity. For a split second, he considers painting the pavement with their blood. "Scram before I lose my patience and end you," he growls. Internally, Yong Hawk is fuming. He hates being the council's attack dog forced into this dirty work by a majority vote. One by one, the terrified hunters vanish, leaving only the stubborn Park standing his ground. Yong Hawk's temper flares seeing this last idiot. He reaches for his blade, ready to slice through the man's bluff. Park finally snaps and blabbers apologies while sprinting for his life. Yong Hawk is left standing in the silence. He's disgusted by the political filth he's cleaning up and vows to make Sok pay for manipulating the committee. Meanwhile, Sok is chilling in his car, gloating over the phone to the administrative officer. He's thrilled that a beast like Yong Hawk is wrapped around their finger. The admin scoffs. Even a master ranker is powerless against the committee's majority rule. With Chairman Min's backing, Yong Hawk is shackled by the very public order he swore to protect. As long as they don't cross his lines, the captain remains a harmless watchdog. Seok beams confident they'll wrap this up once Yong Hawk is out of the picture. With the next phase moving, Seok promises the official a massive reward. He bets that without a miracle, Beck won't survive another week. Cut to Téju meeting General Hyung. He drops a bombshell. He's supplying 1 million bottles to the Defense Corps. He maintains the price at exactly 50,001 won per bottle. Suddenly, Hyung's face turns stone cold. Téju freezes, wondering if he just stepped on a landmine. He worries the general is pissed about being charged the regular market price. But the assistant whispers that the commander is actually in a legendary mood. "You're selling it." This cheap, Hyung asks, leaving Téju completely blindsided. Hyung turns to his aide, demanding 50 billion won from the emergency reserves immediately. He orders a half-payment deposit right now to lock in the deal. Téju isn't finished. He reveals he has one more legendary product to offer. Hyung is floored. The kid isn't just a one-trick pony with the mosquito antidote. Téju explains he's launching a company and presents a slab of mysterious deer meat. Hyung is skeptical, claiming he's too health-conscious for regular steak. "This isn't for you, it's for the Emperor," Téju smirks. Spore, poison water, deer meat. The room goes dead silent. Hyung and his assistant look like they've seen a ghost. This is the legendary meat, said to taste like literal heaven, bursting with juice like a divine fountain. Hyung's basically a Téju fanboy, now wasting zero time popping the ultimate question. So how about re-enlisting? He pitches how much the military craves top-tier talent, but Taeju's deadpan expression screams, "Not in a million years." Once the meeting wraps, Hyung gazes out his office window, brooding over the grueling journey he's traveled to reach the top. His entire life revolves around the border zone, balancing monster populations while crushing any beast waves that get too wild. Honestly, he loathed being promoted to commander. In his eyes, stopping the monsters was just another thankless Tuesday. But if even one beast slipped through, he'd be the scapegoat. Fortunately, a golden opportunity finally knocked on his door. He checks the status of the water deer antidote. His assistant confirms that every piece of the puzzle is locked in. "Everything is handled exactly as you ordered, sir," the assistant reports, realizing Hyung's sharp intuition was dead on. They're capitalizing on the massive rift between their faction and Sok's Pharmacy Association. It's the perfect leverage for their master plan. On top of that, the media play is already in motion. The press is ready to drop a total bombshell. By tomorrow morning, the news of the military's exclusive antidote deal and the water deer hunt will go absolutely viral. Hyung smirks, satisfied. Keep close tabs on Téju. If he hits a snag, make sure he gets whatever help he needs. When Hyung offers a sincere thanks for everything, the assistant nearly chokes up with pure relief. After years of grinding in the shadows, his master finally acknowledged his loyalty. It's the validation he's been craving for ages. Suddenly, Hyung pulls him into a massive hug, declaring, "This is our ticket to the imperial family's inner circle. I'm with you until the very end, sir." The assistant vows, fully buying into Hyung's grand cinematic vision. Their boisterous celebration literally rattles the walls, leaving the staff outside terrified that the building might actually collapse. Meanwhile, Baek and Téju link up at home. Baek's got the green light, the company is officially becoming a reality. All that's left is picking a name. Téju thanks him for the hustle, feeling a massive weight lift off his shoulders. He's hyped that the military deal was a success. Hyung basically did all the heavy lifting for them behind the scenes. By leaking the contract and the new drug as exclusive news, Hyung saved them months of marketing and red tape. It's clear as day now that man didn't become a commander just by getting lucky. He's a cold, calculating tactical genius. Téju turns to Baek with a confident smirk. With everything falling into place, the tide has finally turned in our favor. Baek's already making moves. He used the military's down payment to wipe his old debts clean and start fresh. He even closed his bank accounts just to be petty. Téju loves the energy. Use the rest for the orphanage, he suggests. Taeju's been thinking hard. He realizes he's a beast in the lab, but a total rookie when it comes to business. "I can't steer this ship alone, Baek," he admits. He knows he needs someone he can actually trust with his life. He drops the big offer. "Want to be my official business partner?" Baek's jaw practically hits the floor in shock. "I'm just a guy who ran a tiny pharmacy," Baek stammers. "I don't think I'm cut out for the corporate big leagues." Téju isn't hearing it. He knows his own limits. "Look, I can craft the most legendary medicine in the world, but I haven't the slightest clue how to sell it. I'm completely lost without your expertise and connection." Blown away by Taeju's respect, Baek finally agrees. He suggests a 9-to-1 profit split, giving Téju the lion's share. Téju shakes his head. That's way too low. He counters with a much fairer 70-30 split instead. Baek accepts but clarifies he won't be the one calling the shots. He knows someone even more capable for the job. It turns out this mystery person was raised in the orphanage too. "You've actually met her before," Baek teases. He's talking about So Yeon. According to Baek, she's the brightest mind among all the children he's ever fostered. "If you're cool with it, I'll get her on the phone right now," Baek says, eager to bring her on board. Téju is low-key impressed. Baek's secret superpower isn't money, it's the army of talented professionals he's raised like family. These kids have entered society with various elite professions. "As long as they're competent, I'm all in," Téju assures him. They seal the deal with a firm handshake. Actually, a perfect name just clicked, Téju adds with a grin. Taehong Bo. A perfect fusion of their two names. It sounds like a global powerhouse already. Baek beams with pride at the choice. He promises to get the registration papers filed before the ink even dries. He also mentions he's calling in some awakened orphans to serve as Taeju's elite personal security team. Why the muscle? Because Sok plays dirty, and Baek isn't taking any chances with Taeju's safety. Téju appreciates the gesture but brushes it off. "I'm fine. Send the guards to protect the orphanage instead." Deep down, Baek is still questioning where Téju gets that insane level of confidence. Without a single awakened mark, Baek suspects he's just riding on his old military glory. Noticing the tension, Téju asks why he's still playing the skeptic after everything. Baek quickly pivots, claiming there's literally nobody else on Earth he'd trust more. To settle it, Téju demands Baek summon his awakened guards for a field test. With a chill smirk, he reveals the plan: use the guards to test the new antidote. Next stop, Mount Jeremy. The squad rolls out with Téju leading the charge. Team leader Baek Chang-hoon is instantly blinded by Taeju's 4 billion won luxury coat. Since Taeju's taking point, Baek tries to tap him out for his own safety. Beasts are lurking, but Taeju's vibe is casual. "Don't call me boss, call me brother." Chang-hoon rolls with it, but still insists the brother stays safely behind him. Taeju goes quiet, making Baek apologize for overstepping his bounds as a guard. Téju brushes it off, saying he's already numb to people underestimating him. Since he's unawakened, he promises a real heart-to-heart once the immediate threats are dealt with. Before Baek can process that, the forest explodes as storm weasels swarm them like hornets. The squad hits the panic button, watching a sea of monsters dive bombing from the canopy. Téju doesn't flinch, unleashing a hail of concealed lethality from his pockets. In one blurred motion, the monsters are erased, leaving a high-ranking Chang-hoon absolutely speechless. This shouldn't be possible. Even a pro user like him can't clear mobs that fast. But Téju is just annoyed. He had to settle for basic needles over his daggers. Using only standard-issue hidden weapons felt like a massive waste of resources. Now 200 expensive projectiles are scattered and totally unrecoverable. He curses his luck, wishing he'd mastered the 7th star art to pull them back. Chang-hoon is shaken, asking if he's secretly a master ranker hiding his true identity. Téju laughs it off, claiming 0 mana but insists on leading from here on. Baek starts to protest his father's orders, then remembers the massacre he just witnessed, and shuts up. They soon corner a water deer, a monster known for its lethal, poison-coated ego. Baek is baffled, but Téju notes the beast thinks it's untouchable because of its toxins. It's about to evolve, so Téju orders the squad to chug the experimental antidote. Chang-hoon stares at the vial, his survival instincts screaming in fear and doubt. Realizing he's already deep in this mess, he decides to double down on his faith. Téju proved his strength, now the team has to show they aren't just dead weight. He slams the potion back, declaring he'll be the one to draw first blood. Even the deer looks stunned that a mere human is bold enough to charge. As Chang-hoon closes the distance, the beast lets out its final desperate sonic scream. The sound is pure agony, forcing the rest of the squad to double over in pain. Unfazed, Chang-hoon executes a lethal cutting skill, slicing through the air with precision. The deer's head rolls, and a cloud of deadly spores erupts, coating the entire battlefield. Silence falls as the spores settle, but the antidote holds firm. Everyone is still breathing. Impressed by Baek's courage, Téju smiles as the team marvels at their newfound immunity. Walking through the toxic mist like it's nothing, Téju asks if they're finally convinced. Without its poison, this terrifying beast was nothing more than a glorified target practice. The squad bows in apology, ready to follow their new leader deeper into the wild. Téju orders them to butcher it fast. Once this cure goes public, these deer are history. Meanwhile, back in the steel jungle of New Seoul, So-yeon is busy grinding at her desk. Rising Star manager So-yeon is vibing when her boss crashes the party with suspicious news about her father. Wondering what this guy wants, she's blindsided when he demands she drop every high-stakes project on her plate. His mission, scram to Guri. He shoves a headline in her face featuring her father's brand new pharmaceutical startup. The news hits like a truck. Her father kept this massive career pivot a complete secret from her. Her boss's cold eyes say it all. He doesn't care about her. He just needs a pawn in Guri. The command is simple. Infiltrate her father's circle, leak the antidote data, and swipe that priceless formula. He drops a heavy threat about their shadowy employers, then dangles a promotion if she plays ball perfectly. So Yeon is reeling. She can't believe this corporate snake is actually ordering her to backstab her own blood. Right on cue, her father calls. She shoots her boss a look demanding a moment of privacy to answer. The boss scoffs, telling her to keep it brief because time is money and her choice is overdue. Post-call So-yeon is all sunshine and rainbows. The boss, sensing victory, asks for her final verdict. Her smile vanishes instantly. She glares at the man, confirming that her mind is finally made up. She agrees to head to Guri, but before he can celebrate, she hurls her ID card right at him. She's quitting this toxic dump. Walking past, she roasts him for always looking down on everyone around him, especially since he's basically a short king without the charm. He screams that she's throwing her life away, so Yeon just gives him the finger. Meanwhile, Téju and the crew finally make it back home. Once inside, Téju orders everyone to hit the hay, promising he'll take care of the loose ends. Chung-sun hesitates, bound by his father's direct orders to keep Téju safe at all costs. Téju scoffs. After the carnage I caused, do I really look like I need a bodyguard? He tells him to prioritize Baek and the orphanage instead. Chung-sun nods, signaling his siblings to pack up. Téju feels secure. Nobody would be stupid enough to attack an orphanage and face a public PR nightmare. It's the city's only sanctuary, but a small part of him still worries about the chaos in Guri. This city is crawling with psychos. Téju knows he'll need muscle like Chung-sun to survive the storm. Once the company launches and the antidote flows, he'll finally have some room to breathe and regroup. He dreams of crafting new cures. He only wanted a quiet life, but fate had much bigger plans. He's knee-deep in a massive conspiracy now, but honestly, Téju isn't even mad about the drama. All this madness is exactly how he funded the luxury mansion he's currently lounging in. Owning a home still feels like a fever dream. He looks back on his journey with total disbelief. He realizes his true wealth is the loyal allies he's met. Exhausted, he finally collapses onto his bed. To him, Guri isn't just a city, it's the foundation where he'll finally build his own empire. But outside, shadows are moving. A hit squad led by the notorious Sang-shik has surrounded the mansion. Shik can't believe a newcomer owns such a flex, but his goons confirm it's all from antidote profits. Shik snaps at them to shut up. He's not an idiot. He knows exactly where the money came from. He would have snatched Téju already if Sok hadn't issued those strict orders to stay patient. They pick the lock, ghosting through the halls. Shik silences his crew, no talking until the target is neutralized. The plan: one quick jab to the neck in the living room and Téju is gone forever. They creep into his bedroom. A goon lunges with a loaded syringe, aiming straight for Taeju's jugular. Suddenly, Taeju's hand snaps out, grabbing the goon. He admits he almost let them inject him. Shik screams for his man to finish it, but the goon gasps. His hand is frozen in a vice grip. Téju calmly swipes the needle, revealing he's been tracking their every move since they stepped inside. He mocks them with a smirk, mentioning how much he absolutely despises needles because they're just too painful. His overwhelming confidence radiates through the room, making the hitmen realize they've walked into a total death trap. Téju keeps trolling, asking if the knockout drug works just as well if he drinks it instead. Shik is shaking like a leaf, but still tries to bark orders about his stolen property. His jaw drops as Téju casually downs the entire syringe like a shot of cheap tequila. It looks like jelly, but one taste tells Téju the truth. It's narcotics. He mocks Shik, asking for a refill. Urban legends say a slum syndicate has been pushing these toxins, and now the proof is in his hands. But this operation is too clean. Téju smells a high-level rat pulling the strings from the shadows of the city. These lethal substances that have wrecked so many lives have finally landed right in his lap. To him, drugs are just exotic poisons, a new spicy flavor for his unique biology to devour and process. Back in the martial realm, Tong had survived every toxin known to man while roaming the lands. Now Téju is recycling this trash to boost his own poison essence. It is a literal cultivation level up. He drains the drugs straight from the goons, leaving Shik absolutely petrified. "Who's your boss?" he demands coldly. Shik's lips are sealed by fear, so Téju triggers a brutal withdrawal by sucking the toxins from his veins. Sunrise hits, and Yong Hawk is already marching toward Taeju's estate with a dark expression. The madman actually called the authorities on the intruders, a bold move that nobody expected. Yong Hawk discovers Téju already cracked Shik's resolve. He knows Seok is the secret puppet master behind this. Now the vigilantes are forced to take the trash away and investigate, putting their reputation on the line. Yong Hawk is fuming with rage. Seok started a fire he could not even put out properly. He is not sweating the rookie Téju, but the legendary Bake. That man's influence is a massive problem. A settlement would fix this mess, but Seok is way too prideful to ever bow down or apologize. That stubbornness is going to turn this minor scuffle into a long, bloody, and exhausting mess. Yong Hawk fears a never-ending feud is on the horizon, dragging everyone into the dirt. Taeju's demand for justice is just more paperwork and unwanted pressure on his shoulders. Yong Hawk pulls up to the mansion where Baek steps out to offer a polite welcome. Yong Hawk ignores him, completely treating the legend like a ghost while his men shove past. He stalks over to the captured thugs and abruptly sentences Shik to death in the Emperor's name. His blade flashes toward Shik's neck, but a throwing knife clangs against his steel, parrying the lethal strike. "Hold up," Téju shouts. Why so desperate to silence the only witness? He then plays a recorded confession. The footage exposes Seok's betrayal. Téju calls out Yong Hawk for trying to bury the truth so quickly. "Who the hell are you?" Yong Hawk roars. Téju doesn't flinch, he just introduces himself with total confidence. The realization hits Yong Hawk like a truck. This is the fabled maker of the miracle antidote. He leans in, squinting. It finally clicks. This is the lowly porter he met back on the mountain. "You are the one who made the cure?" he asks. Téju gives a simple icy nod in response. Yong Hawk scoffs. In this city, his blade is the only law that matters regardless of who you are. He reaches for his hilt, intent on wiping out the 4 witnesses to erase the evidence forever. Téju stands his ground. Yong Hawk lunges for Shik's head, daring the kid to try and stop him. A storm of daggers erupts. Yong Hawk deflects the steel, but the speed is unlike anything he expected. A blade grazes his skin, drawing first blood. "Not bad for a rookie," he snarls, his eyes darkening. Now it is personal. Yong Hawk sentences Téju to death for daring to touch a master twice. "Show me your so-called authority." Téju fires back, completely unbothered by the threat of death. He unleashes a lethal wave of daggers as the 2 titans prepare to collide in a fierce battle. Suddenly, a voice booms from a chopper overhead. Hyung and 3 others dive into the fray to intervene. They slam down between the combatants, and Hyung orders Yong Hawk to stand down immediately. What is the military doing in Free City? Yong Hawk demands, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. Hyung shuts him down. He does not need a hall pass to walk the streets of this city. He claims he is here as a private citizen and tells Yong Hawk to walk away while he still can. Hyung rushes to check on Téju, but the young master is cool as ice and totally unharmed. These aren't just soldiers. They are 3 major generals, legendary master awakeners, and warriors, and they are ready to burn the world down for Téju, the benefactor who saved their lives. Yong Hawk is frozen with shock, watching the military elite treat Téju like an old comrade. The camaraderie is unsettling. He wonders if Téju used his father's elite connections to pull strings. Facing 4 powerhouse masters from the military, Yong Hawk realizes he is walking on thin ice here. Swallowing his pride, he prepares to retreat silently, vowing to avenge this absolute humiliation one day. As Yong Hawk calls it quits, Hyung throws some shade mockingly, inviting him to stay longer. Frustrated, Yong Hawk snaps back that he actually has real work, unlike these carefree military bums. Hyung notes this is expected, mocking the self-proclaimed busy man for his lack of actual results. He quips that if Yong Hawk was truly busy, these thugs would have been wiped out years ago. Hyung even offers to lend some real muscle if the vigilantes cannot handle the city's trash. Rejecting the help, Yong Hawk orders his squad to haul Shik and the traitors away for interrogation. But the vibe changes instantly when Hyung declares that Shik and his crew are going nowhere. Enraged, Yong Hawk barks that the military promised not to interfere with internal city affairs. Hyung counters, calmly explaining that these scumbags crossed a line by targeting someone very close to him. A tense standoff erupts as Yong Hawk warns that this move blurs the lines of military authority. He desperately plays the Emperor's Decree card, hoping the royal name will back Hyung down. That is when Hyung's aura explodes, crushing the air as he asks if Yong Hawk thinks they are equals. Murderous intent paralyzes Yong Hawk as Hyung whispers that he could end his life right here legally. Yong Hawk begins to shake violently, while the other generals laugh, mocking his pathetic, terrified state. They wait for the word to strike, while Yong Hawk's own men are already trembling in fear. Realizing he is completely outmatched, Yong Hawk finally chokes out the order for his men to retreat. After they flee, Téju thanks Hyung, who simply shrugs it off since they are now allies. Baek also expresses his gratitude for the backup, having been the one to send the emergency signal. Hyung praises the quick thinking, glad he arrived before things got too messy for everyone involved. With the immediate threat neutralized, Hyung announces he will be taking full custody of Shik's gang. He also plans to crush their secret benefactor. Téju tries to decline, calling it a personal debt. Hyung shuts him down, explaining that any threat to the antidote project is a national security risk. If Téju fails because of these pests, the safety of the entire corps would be compromised. Téju relents, and Hyung promises to tie up every single loose end so he can focus. As they part ways, Téju recalls Jung-ho getting struck by a flying dagger during the chaos. Strangely, the man showed zero signs of toxin before he vanished, which keeps Téju on edge. He realizes that without Hyung's intervention, he might have been toast. This realization hits him hard. This moment of weakness fuels a fire inside him. He needs more power to protect his people. Back at his desk, Yong Hawk spots a suspicious, unhealing scratch. He wonders if it is lethal poison. Suddenly, a sickly green hue spreads across his skin, and the agony begins to flare up. Veins bulge as he screams in pure torture, begging his assistant to rush him to the hospital. Facing his own mortality, he wonders what Téju did to him. Elsewhere, Hyung's chopper takes flight. Done with their intel, Hyung coldly orders his men to toss Shik and the others overboard. Their pleas for mercy fall on deaf ears as they are shoved into the dark, cold ocean. With the trash disposed of, Hyung sets his sights on Sok, the next target on his list. He deploys troops to tame Young Bio, cementing his protective alliance with the rising star Téju. At the Guri city airport, So Yeon touches down, finally returning to her roots. Her brother calls, sharing how much Téju has done to support their struggling family. Smiling, she tells Young Soon she will be home soon and hails a taxi to Baek's orphanage. She cannot hide her joy, finally realizing the true reason why her father called her home. Arriving at the orphanage, she finds a massive feast prepared as her father welcomes her home. After welcoming her, she wonders if they're celebrating something big, and he drops a bombshell: they've bagged a water deer. As they prep the feast, So Yeon stands frozen, finally realizing that Chang Soo wasn't capping about his wild claims. Baek then leads her to find Téju, who is currently busy feeding the little ones. Baek makes the introductions, but Téju remains unfazed. It turns out their paths have crossed before. Stunned that he actually remembers her, So Yeon immediately owns up to her past disrespect. She gives Téju her word that she will scale the company with total integrity, earning a satisfied nod from him. Suddenly, Min Soo-hyung's right-hand man arrives with 19 elite soldiers, announcing they've been deployed as the official security for Taehong Bio. Téju welcomes the backup, but worries about the logistics. Housing 20 extra men is no easy feat. But Min-soo shuts down those concerns instantly, revealing they've brought their own high-grade tactical camping gear. Sealing the deal with a firm handshake, Téju admits he's hyped to have such a powerhouse team on board. Min-soo responds with absolute loyalty, vowing to protect him even if it costs his life. To kick things off, Téju offers them a legendary water deer feast, and Min-soo orders his squad to gear down and eat. Looking at his new squad, Téju feels the weight of his progress. The days of being a lone wolf are officially over. He finally has his own faction. Meanwhile, at Guri Castle, the walls are closing in on Seok as he faces the Autonomous Committee. Under the heavy pressure of his crimes, he grinds out a confession. Once outside, Seok staggers in agony. Realizing his so-called allies have totally hung him out to dry, panic begins to set in, as he fails to reach Shik, leaving him with only one desperate option: vanish into the shadows until the heat dies down. Fate has other plans. While stuck at a red light, a masked phantom on a bike pulls up and shatters his window with a bat. Before Seok can even scream, the assassin ends him and sends the car plummeting into the river. Coldly, he pings his boss that the target is neutralized and he's heading